It's visible, right? I hope you can start.
We can. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Hello, everyone. And I first of all would like to thank WWF, Farida, and her team for having me do this session for you as part of the CNC preparations. So to begin with, I shall be um, talking about floral diversity and the kind of plant groups that you can see around you. As you are aware, CNC is more about documenting the wild flora, but you can document some of the trees from your city, but preferably we would like you to document the wild flora around you, things which are plants which are not planted but have grown on their own, and so that you can find anywhere from your garden to the pavement to other parts of the city, and of course the small patches of wild or unkempt places in your city. So we'll begin with the kind of diversity that we see in peninsular India. The reason I am saying that there's a focus on Hyderabad is because I am from Hyderabad, and this is the area where I document most of the time. And I've been doing this for about 8 years now. Um, so this is just a sampling of the kind of flora. I'll quickly take you through them. Ashwin, can we have the next slide, please? Thank you. So depending on the habitat that you have around you, you will find the vegetation that it matches that. Therefore, in our area, as you can see here, on your left is the open mixed dry deciduous forest, and that is the dry season. You see a lot of browns, more browns. This is the dry season. And under that, on your left bottom, you can see what it looks like in the wet season, which is the monsoon, around 5 months in the year for us. Then we have in Hyderabad the rocky outcrops, of course, and we have different kinds of vegetation over there, as you will see later. And with the rocky outcrops, there is something called sheet rock, which are large expanses of rock, which on which there may be boulders as well, and these have a slightly different mix of flora. They because there are depressions and little basins and niches and crevices on these sheet rocks. So I'll explain as we go along. And then we have the lakes and rivers. I'm talking about the river Musi over here because that's the river in Hyderabad. We have lakes which are perennial, um, which don't dry, seasonally, and then we have the ephemeral lakes which dry seasonally, and we also have marshy areas because of that. Next slide, please. So we begin with the basic uh, forms of organisms in the plant kingdom. The fungi are technically not a part of the plant kingdom, but nevertheless, I shall just do a quick introduction. They are organisms, that belong to a separate kingdoms. Kingdom. They're saprophytic. They live off detritus or dead matter, and there are different forms, so you need to look out for those while you're looking for plants. When you are outdoors, you will see some, especially during the rainy season. So you have these, what you normally see are fruiting bodies, and those are the ones from which we can identify the species. If you just see mycelium, which are very fine thread-like structures, they can be similar for most fungi. Therefore, what we need to look at and photograph are the fruiting bodies, and there are different kinds of fruiting bodies, as you can see over here. And when they open up, they look different. What we would like you to do is, when you document, please take a picture of the underside. As you can see on the top left, you can see the parasol fungus, which is, whole, it is just emerged, the fruiting body, and then you can see the one which is opened, and then you can see the stipe, which is the stalk. And all of these characteristics help to identify your mushroom. Therefore, please take pictures if you can of the stalk, which is called the stipe, and there's a little skirt on it, or if sometimes they don't have those skirts. It also helps if you get the entire underside where the stalk joins the cap, and that there are features there also which will help in identification. Then you have the dried bracket fungi, or I'm sorry, you can also have them growing live on your trees or branches. This is a dry specimen, and you turn it over, and you can actually that's another feature that you need to photograph, because those help in identification, the pores basically, what shape and how they're formed. So that helps as well. Then you have you know uh, the puffball, other fruiting mushrooms which don't have caps. So this is the puffball, the round circular one in the center, and then underneath that the yellow jelly fungus. You find them generally on old rotting wood, dead branches. Then you have the coral fungus, which grows on the ground. They come in all forms, shapes, and sizes, and they're normally growing on dead matter on the ground. So those you will see directly emerging from the ground. Then you have lichens or lichens, as you can call them. They can be on rock or tree bark. Typically, these are the two places where you see them. Uh, Lichens are again a category unto themselves. They are a symbiotic relationship between fungi and algae, where the fungus forms, I mean, it provides the structure basically, and the alga lives within it and manufactures the food uh, for the organism. Okay, so you have different kinds. So please try to take you know, a full picture of the area. Then you can take a little close up if you can. So the top two lichens on your right, they're on rock, and the bottom lower one is on bark. So bark also you can find lichens, and they come in different shapes. What we find typically in our Hyderabad dry region are these, which are crustose or granular, but you can find foliose lichens, and they sort of grow on, they need more moisture. So we don't get them in our region. They grow on tree bark in different shapes. So you can get folios, which is more leaf like, and then you can get very feathery branched versions that hang quite long from, in their from the branches, and they are called fruticose lichens. Okay, next slide, please. Ashley? Yeah, thanks. Now we come to the actual plant forms. I'm not going into algae. If you do see them and you're able to photograph them, maybe under a microscope, then perhaps you can record them you upload them on iNaturalist, because otherwise they're quite difficult to identify unless we get a microscopic view, which is why I'm not dealing with algae. You may find them in water bodies, or even growing like slime on walls or on the ground. But if you can get a microscopic image, then please do upload. Otherwise, difficult. So I'm jumping into the simplest forms of plant life. These are non-vascular in the sense they do not have xylem and phloem, the tissues that conduct water and nutrients inside a plant, like regular plants. So these are mosses, and on your left and on your right, we have what are called liverworts. um, you'll see these mostly in wet areas. They can be on rocks or on trees, or sometimes mosses are on walls and brick. But liverworts mostly will be on rock or sometimes on ground as well. Um, so if you have a moist area, these are what you need to look for. And for mosses, please try, if you can, to take a close up. And also, if there are fruiting bodies, as you can see, these stalked, you know, capsules that you can see next to this, the green moss, those are the fruiting bodies, and they are characteristic for species, and they will help in identification. Try to get close and clear photographs of both mosses and liverworts. Right. Um, Next one, please. This one. Now we come to the simplest of vascular forms, organisms. These are club mosses, which are nothing but your Sanjeevani type of organisms. We typically get these only one species in Hyderabad, but in other areas, in more moist areas, you will find several different kinds. They may be larger, branch, much branch, looking almost like ferns. So you can also call them like protoferns, but they're called club moss. So this is Selaginella, and uh, in the dry season, they may curl up and look like nodules or little pieces of rock or stone on the ground, gravel. So please look a little carefully. If you think that you are in an area where you may find Selaginella, just look for them carefully. They're small, but when they are open in the moisture, they are green and easily visible, very fern-like. But when they in dry areas, they do curl up a lot and look like bits of gravel. So please look for them carefully. Then we have the ferns. Again, they are the simple plant forms. We find a variety of them in rocky areas, but they do also grow on walls in lime plaster. So you can find them near leaky pipes, um, and walls which have cracks in them and hold moisture, and rocks, and of course forests, any other more moist areas. You may find the dry form in in the dry season. You may see the dry forms. If you see any dried leaf matter looking a little interesting, maybe tucked under rocks or in crevices, please take a closer look. Do take a picture if you can, a clear picture, and then you will be able to most probably we'll be able to identify that. Okay. Next slide, please, Ashwin. So here are some ephemerals. So these are the regular vascular plants. They're herbaceous plants. The ones you're looking at on this slide are all short-lived plants. They're called ephemerals. So they grow up during the moist time period, which is of course the monsoons for us. And very soon, I mean, they will grow, they will flower, they will set seed, and soon they will die back, and you will find no evidence of them. So perhaps now in the dry season, when we are conducting this CNC, you may or may not see these uh, little plants, herbaceous plants. But if we have had a few, showers just before the CNC, which is at the end of April, then it is quite possible that you will see some of them. Some of them are hardier. They have a, they emerge very quickly. The seeds germinate and emerge very quickly, trying to take advantage of whatever moisture is available. So they may be tricked into, coming up, sprouting at that time. do carefully take pictures of those. Yeah, of course, if we see the flowers, they're much more easier to identify. But if not, please take clear pictures of the plant itself, and maybe the leaf, the habitat. Take a like zoom out and take a photograph of the habitat, and it may make it easier for us to identify. Next slide, please. These are vines and climbers. So what I'm doing is I'm taking you through different categories of plants, just so that you have an idea of the kind of different plants you could see in your area. And you'll have to, of course, look carefully for these are certain climbers we see in our region, and some of them may be again ephemeral. For example, this arrow leaf morning glory, right on the left top corner, and they will emerge only when there is sufficient moisture, and it takes a little while by the time they grow and then flower, but within a month they emerge during the monsoons. But in this season, you in the dry season, you may or may not see them. If there is some area which is moist for some reason, there is water flowing there or something, perhaps in that area you may find this plant still alive. But there are others, for example, like the abris or the caparis, which you may see dry stems and twigs and maybe a few leaves, and or in this abris you will see just the pods with the red seeds. um, it's called rosary peas, so because of those seeds, and they're quite characters, I mean, distinguishable. Especially in the dry season, you just see brown everywhere, and then suddenly these red seeds with black spots will pop up. And then you know that there is a abris climber somewhere there. The leaves and flowers, of course, will come up post rain, but look out for them if you're especially in dry deciduous forests. Sometimes in moist deciduous forests also you may see the remnants of this vine. Okay, the green wax flower, which is stephanotis, this again you will not see most probably the leaves or the flowers, but you will see the pods. Okay, so look out for the pods. If you see any hanging pods, sometimes they are, the pods have opened, the seeds have been released. Do take a picture of the pods because it's possible to identify the plant from the pods. The Indian kadaba, of course, is finished blooming, but you will find the fruit, the pods, maybe at the end of April, you'll also see the open pods, which, they're bright red in color once the outer cover opens out, so you can't miss those. So, you may not see flowers, you may see a scattering, of leaves, but you may not miss the pods. So do keep an eye out for them. Asparagus again may not emerge with flowers, but you may see some thorny, very slim, twining, twiggy things in the forest or in the dry scrub, and you'll have to look closely. Put your finger behind, put your palm behind the twiggy bits and take a picture, because then it'll come into focus and it'll be easier for you to take a identifiable picture. Okay, so cyananchum, again, the pink flower vine that you most probably may not see it. For example, in our dry areas, they come up only about a month after the rains start, and then they will start flowering a little later, even maybe 4 weeks down the line. So you may not see these. Again, if you see any pods hanging from a thin brown vine, please do take pictures. That's most probably you'll be able to see that. Next slide, please. Here we have some shrubs. These are again typical shrubs of the Hyderabad region. They can be thorny, and many of them will be putting out flowers now, and a few of them will have leaves. Depends again on the, whether it has rained or there's some moisture in the air. If you don't see the flowers or the leaves, do take clear pictures of the twigs. Many of these are thorny, or they may have their pods or fruit, dried fruit or pods on them. Do take pictures of those along with the stems, clearly showing the thorns. Please bring them into focus. Show the thorns, because the arrangement of thorns and the pods and the twig itself will help in identification. Many of these are very charismatic, species of the dry region. You may see some in bloom. For example, the wild karonda, which is at the bottom right corner, that is blooming right now. So is the Chinese lantern, the top right corner, that's also in bloom now. So some of these bloom in the dry season as well, just leading up to the monsoons. But some of them you may not see flowers or leaves. Do take a picture of the twigs, and if there is any fruit, do take a picture. Next slide, please. These are some of the trees that we'll see. Many of them have bloomed in the dry season, and some of them will be blooming right now, like the laburnum. You can see what the tree looks like against the rocks on the top left hand corner, and these are the inflorescence on the bottom left corner. And then comes the pala indigo, the Rhytia tinctoria. Again, it's blooming right now. So maybe you will find a few flowers even at the end of April. Uh, Mostly they will leaf out. Trees tend to put out their leaves a little sooner, although it is still, just the beginning of summer, maybe in April. The leaves will sprout on many of these trees. They may not sprout on the shrubs or climbers, but they will sprout on the trees. It's quite typical that they do that. Then we have the Indian ash, which is also called the mohin, lania. So the trees are now fruiting. There are no leaves on the tree. This is what they look like. And there are fruit. They're green, turning red. So it's easy to identify even at this point. But again, I will take you through the kind of characteristics of trees that may help in identification in the following presentation, just after this one. And hopefully that will also make it clear that we can identify if you just have the bark. Sometimes the canopy is very tall and you're not able to take a picture. So bark, some characteristics, and maybe even if you have any fallen leaves or fruit or dry flowers, even that will help in identification. So do keep a lookout for that. If you don't find leaves or the canopy is very high, please look on the ground and see whether you can find any parts which will help in identifying the tree. We have wild guava, which is just almost finished blooming now, but you'll see the fruit on the tree. It doesn't have any leaves right now, but this in this stage also it is very clearly identifiable. Caraya arborea. And then the Krishna Ciris, the Albizia, which is beginning to put out leaves and flowers right now, looks just like this in the picture. Also we need a picture of the bark to just confirm it's the same tree. But some of these you will see now in across peninsular India actually. These trees are quite common everywhere. Next slide, please. Now, these are plants that in more drier regions, they are visible only during the monsoon time, and for the rest of the year in the dry season, they actually hibernate or tend to tide over the dry season, as some sort of an underground stem, or in the form of what are called corms or bulbs or tubers, right? So these are many a time not visible, may not be visible now at the end of April during CNC, but do keep a lookout for them in more moist areas. Maybe you'll find a few leaves, or if you're lucky, maybe some flower stalk or something. But most of these geophytes, they thrive only during the monsoons, but they're there, very much there, in the form of a bulb corm. Sometimes it may put out leaves, but mostly the flowers come out first and then the leaves come out. Okay, so these are natives of our region, Hyderabad region. So we have, which is why we have this Hyderabad squill. You'll see it around Hyderabad, but maybe not elsewhere. It so far as yet has not been recorded from anywhere else. The first record came from Hyderabad, hence it has this name, uh, Ledaboria hydrabadensis, and we find it very much in and around Hyderabad. Then we have, ground orchids, and we have, see, the tree orchids. You will most probably see, you'll see some green structure there, either the leaf with the stalks or the bulbs. But the ground orchids, tend to spend the dry season as a bulb underground. So you're more likely not to see these in the dry season. Then we have, cyanotus species. They also emerge only during. They have tuberous roots, long tuberous roots, almost finger-like, thick roots, storage organs basically, and they will also emerge with the rains. But if you have early rains, you may get lucky. Cyanotus sometimes, they're very quick to respond to moisture because they want to complete their life cycle quickly. So you may get lucky and actually see them emerge, and then it is easier for you to document them. But I just want you to know that these are there in drier regions of peninsular India. There are plants like this which you may not see now during CNC, but please keep a lookout for them, and you can always upload them on iNaturalist during the monsoon wet season when they emerge. Next slide, please. Of course, we have lots and lots of grass species in India, peninsular India also. Now we have the cypress. Actually, the first lot of pictures is about is on are the cypresses over here on the slide towards the left, and they of course like moist areas. If you are lucky and have a lake or river along the edges, in marshy areas beside them, you will find some of these cypresses, but in the dry areas they may not have emerged yet. If there are perennial marshes, which you will find them. But if they're ephemeral marshes, in the sense soggy ground which happens only during monsoons, then you will see them only at that time. But do keep a lookout. If you have wet areas, you can actually find some cypress species. On your right are the grasses. Some of them, most grasses emerge a little late in the season, but again, these are the flowering, these are the inflorescences actually, flowering stalks, and they are used to readily identify grasses. But in case you don't find these, please do take a good picture of the habit, which means the entire plant of the grass. Normally they grow in a little clump, or a bunch of leaves come out together. Do take a clear picture of that, and if there are stalks, then take clear pictures of that as well. Sorry, excuse me. If you are lucky enough, some grasses do emerge, put out their inflorescence in the with the few showers, April showers. in which case please do take clear pictures of the inflorescences. In case you're finding it difficult to focus, please put your hand behind and it will bring it into focus and you can take a picture. It's always good to get a close-up and then a long shot. It will help us easily identify the grasses. Next slide, please. These are some of the charismatic species we see in our region. Some of them you may find in the dry season. For example, the second picture on the top row, which is stinging coneflower. These are dry season specialists. So they are very well adapted to growing and flowering in the dry season. So you see, but you need to look carefully because most of these plants are small and easily lost amidst dry grass or dry shrubs. So stinging coneflower normally in open areas and grasslands. It has gray leaves. If you can catch sight of a couple of leaves there beside the flower, grayish leaves which are all well protected with hairs, which is why it is able to survive and flower in the dry season. Many of them you may only see in the wet season again after a few showers of rain. But a look at the bottom row, there is leafless East Indian vine, Cynanchum viminal, that you will see just green stalks. You can see in the background there's a mass of green stick-like things. They all belong to this plant. You may not see the flowers, but they look like greenish gray stalks, and mostly you find them on rocks. So please do look out for them. Sometimes they have the pods as well. So keep a lookout for them. Rothika, this Bharangi, the entire shrub actually emerges only during the rainy season. So unless you're in a moist area, maybe in the Western Ghats, you may not see the plant at all. And the flowers bloom again only during the monsoons. So in a moister area, maybe the plant is has emerged and you may see the leaves, but otherwise no. Okay, but do keep an eye out for these plants. Marshy areas still have a few sundews. These are, really sort of mesmerizing, species which you can't have enough of, but they're really, really small. They're really tiny, minuscule. So if you have a, perennial soggy area where, a few grasses are growing, please bend down. You'll have to go down on your knees and literally look for these. There are two kinds of Drosera plants. This is indica, which is a little more, it's a little larger than Drosera burmani, but burmani is really small. But do look out for plants which have these unique looking hairy structures with little shiny beads of what look like dew on their tips. And, maybe uh, you'll kind of, happy to see one of these plants, but you need a wet marshy area, so keep a lookout for them. Next slide, please. Ashwin? Ashwin, do we have another slide? Sorry.
Oh, is it not changing?
Okay. No. I'm just wondering whether that we are ending with that. Maybe.
Okay, fine.
Perhaps. I'm not sure. Maybe that's
So we
the
can go for the second presentation, right?
yeah. We can go for the second one, but shall I take questions now on this one? If anyone wants to ask anything, because it may be hard to remember perhaps later, unless of course they've typed the questions in the chat. Maybe we can. Do you want me to take a look? If anyone has a question, you can unmute and ask just now before we go into the second presentation. Any questions about these plants or any queries?
Hi.
Hi.
I just have hi. I'm Fabian. Hi, Kobita.
Hi.
Can you hear me well?
Yeah, I just yeah.
So I have a question from the first slide.
Uh-huh.
When you say open mixed dry deciduous forest, so I
Yes.
understand what deciduous means, and I think I understand what dry means. What is mixed?
Okay, mixed. Okay, so these are, now we use this terminology because, open natural ecosystem itself would most probably, give you an idea of what it is. This is a terminology that is being used now, open natural ecosystems. In that, so they're not basically tree covered, they're not canopied habitats, but in this we have a mixed deciduous. So mixed is where you have grass and trees. Mainly we're referring to these two, but of course when you have the grass and the trees, you have all the others in between, which is the herbs and the shrubs and the climbers and vines. Okay,
Right.
so when we say mixed, it means a combination, it's grass as well as trees, right? And
So
so
then
you
it's
can
not
have,
really open anymore, right? Sorry.
it is so
Then
it's
it
open because there's no closed canopy here. That's what we mean by
okay.
open.
Okay.
So there'll be scattered trees. Typically, you will not have a closed canopy. And to differentiate from this, you can
Understood.
have scrub forests, which again we see a lot of over here. Scrub jungles are again, they're mixed to a large extent, but sometimes you'll just see this shrubby, continuous shrubby patch. So then you'll be wondering, what is the mean, whether is this open or not. So typically we say that is
Mm.
a shrub, thorn forest, but they can also have patches of grass in between in the more open areas, because shrubs, those thorn shrubs, they tend to grow like this in clumps. But you get smaller openings between them sometimes, or larger openings. But just so as you understand that there are various sort of levels of density that we see. I hope I've answered your question. If you're still not clear, you have another question, you can answer,
No,
ask.
I think I do understand.
There's another
Sure, a lot of
question,
overlaps between these
Kobita,
habitats.
from.
There
So
are overlaps. Yeah, Farida. There are overlaps.
There's a question from
thank you.
Manorama Singh. She says that uh, if we want to identify a plant, what are the things that we start identification with?
Okay, so I think we'll do that to the second presentation. I think it'll be easier once I do that. Then I think we'll get an idea. So I'll answer that the next once that presentation is over, because that's where I deal with what are the kind of things we're looking at for identification. Okay. Any other questions about this first lot of slides? Anything? Or we can take some at the end if you have, you remember something. Shall we then proceed to the next one?
So Kobita, Ashwin has lost his connection.
Oh dear.
So I don't know if he's able to share his second presentation. So is this the one which you have for the Hyderabad annual tree survey? Is that
Yes. Yes.
so? I have that. Shall I?
Yes,
Let me know.
please.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll share it.
Just
Excuse me, ma'am.
yeah. Just made a small.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah. Yes.
Hello.
Anushka.
Yes, ma'am. Hello. Good evening.
Hi.
So, ma'am, I have a question which is not very much directly related to what you actually shared till now.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I would like to ask you, and it is okay that
Sure.
if you don't answer it in this means webinar, you can answer it later also,
Okay.
because it is
Okay.
not related. I was just asking that, ma'am, you described the herbaceous plants or ephemerals, right?
Yes.
So, actually what is happening nowadays in these city areas, every building, a small building or a larger building, they are like means rapid concrete, means they are making it concrete all over the,
Yes,
means not only in the building area but also in the surrounding areas. Okay,
I understand.
so those patches were actually very much very a likely place for the ephemerals to grow.
Yes,
Actually,
yes,
those what we actually call them weeds or just
correct.
like that. But I can understand, means I am a student of botany. I have studied botany actually, and after that I like, right now I like to do bird watching and butterflies. So I know the importance of these ephemerals, not only
Yes,
for the ecosystem but also for the butterflies and all that,
yes,
because
yes,
they are all many of these ephemerals are actually the host plant of butterflies. Can you
absolutely.
please suggest, ma'am, any way how to work for the conservation of these ephemerals, because they are they are, you cannot find them in any means nursery or any places, and
True.
they are, means you cannot also pick them up and make it a potted plant in your
So
own
the thing you
garden
have
or
to
that.
do is, yeah, if I may interrupt here,
Yeah,
the thing
please.
you have to do is to collect the seeds, but you also need to collect a little bit, unfortunately, but you'll have to collect a little bit of the soil from that area, from those likely areas. So if the plant is available somewhere, do try to collect the seed, and also you will have to collect the soil, because they grow in that, in those typical soils. That is the sad reality of living in urban areas. We are rapidly losing these plants which which actually provide so many ecosystem services,
Yeah.
and therefore the depleting species diversity. But this is one quick thing that I can tell you, is to collect seeds.
Collect the seeds and
When
the
you see
soil
them,
also.
yeah, make sure they dry and then preserve them, and then try growing them, but you'll have to get the soil.
Yeah, because
Okay.
the collection of soil is very important,
Can
because
we,
I can relate, because
Anusha, can we take this later, because we
Then
have
we'll do this
many more
later.
people
okay,
on
ma'am. Thank
the
you. Thank
call,
you for
and we
your
would like to
Thanks.
continue the presentation.
Okay.
So,
Right.
Kobita, can you see my
Yes,
presentation
yes,
screen?
yes,
Yeah.
certainly.
So,
Yeah.
okay. So just let me
Okay,
go
so
to
we'll
next,
start
and
with
I'll switch
this.
it. Yeah.
So this presentation, although it is called the Hyderabad Annual Tree Survey because it was done for that, it tells you about documenting nature, basically. Very briefly, it's very simple presentation, so as not to go into too many details, but I hope you will get an idea of what all we can see, and how we should document flora, trees specifically, and then from there you can actually then understand what you can do for the other flora. Okay, so basically, I'll be showing you the trees and documenting tree species, and then of course the related associated flora and fauna with the trees. Okay, so we'll just go on to this one. Thanks, Farida. Next slide, please. Okay, so
Sorry, Farida, we are not able to see your screen.
oops,
I can.
I'm able to view it.
No, we can see.
No, we can see it.
Okay, now it's gone, but it was there a
Everyone
moment
who
ago.
comes from India has technical
Okay,
difficulties in
Yeah,
can
PowerPoint.
it's
anyone
come.
see this? Is it
Now it's
okay?
on.
I can see it.
Yes.
It's visible now.
Anjali?
Yes, ma'am. It's visible now.
Okay,
I am
cool.
still seeing Ashwin's screen for some reason.
Oh, uh, hmm.
Maybe
I
you might have pinned it on it. Maybe see if you have not pinned it on.
No, I
okay.
have not pinned it.
We can all
Farida's
see.
screen sharing, I
We
can't
are
see.
seeing most of us, I think, are seeing Farida's screen. I am for sure. Um,
Yes, we are.
okay, so A patch of green is, a place to go and discover the species. So wherever you see, you don't have to really, perhaps go far out from the urban areas. After all, this is, city nature challenge. So do go to the wild pockets, this few remaining wild pockets in and around your city. I think they would have demarcated the boundaries. Just make sure that you're within that for the challenge itself, city nature challenge. But at other times, you can always document things a little outside also, or anywhere else for that matter. So having said that, this is a little patch of green we have next to, it's a rocky area, plus we have our Musi River running through this patch. And just pre-monsoon, this is what it looks like. The plants on the rocks are still kind of brown, but the trees have all leafed out. And then, of course, you'll have to go and take, closer pictures to identify the trees. So let's go see what this is about. Next slide, please. Some trees are easy to identify, especially when they have their flowers. So you don't have to do anything much. You just take a shot, like this, a long shot. These are familiar trees. Or if you can take, along with this, some closer pictures of the flowers and perhaps, the bark, and if there are any pods or leaves, if you can do that as well, it's always helpful. If you're in a hurry and you really want to get through this fast, okay, familiar trees, you can just take a single picture, just so that that its existence in that particular area. But if you really want to document a tree for yourself, or point out its features, then it's always nice to have a shot of the bark of that particular, the current tree you're photographing, and the flowers and etc. So we'll deal with that in the next slide, please. So the next most common thing you'll see on, for identification are fruit or seeds. For example, the one on your far left, they're seeds of the helicopter tree. And, they're very characteristic and so easily identifiable. If you just put this picture on iNaturalist, we know that that tree exists in your area, because it's a shot of the seed on the tree, right? Similarly, other fruits you can see over here: snotberry, cordia, then alangium, and then soymida. So these are wild. All these. The first, slide had pictures of trees, which are common garden trees. Even though you see butea and not common garden trees, let me put it this way. Sometimes people plant cassia and fistula and butea monosperma in their communities or gardens or parks. But those two trees are found in the wild. They're native trees. But the Tebibia in the previous slide is introduced variety, so you don't find it in the wild. Whereas here, these fruits and pods are all from the wild. So if you see them, it's easy for us to do get a picture. You must document this because it's also telling us about the season when these fruits are present or observed. Therefore, please do document the fruit if they are there. Okay, so fruits do help in identification. Next slide, please. Bark is the next feature. In case you have no flowers, you have no fruit on the tree, because again it is the dry season, please do take good pictures of the bark. And by good, you can see here the clarity of the pictures, because that's very important. We need to see the features on the bark. Silk cotton has, big wide thorns, as you can see in the first picture. Then you have Boswellia, which has got this peeling bark. You can actually see the green, new fresh bark underneath. The bark turns dry and papery and peels away. Then you have Diospyros chloroxylon with the lightly fissured bark, very characteristic. So get the entire trunk with the bark. Okay, if you find a characteristic which if you like to take a close picture of the thorns, or for example the Indian coral tree, you see this beautiful pattern, do take a picture of that, a close up, but do take one from afar so you can see the trunk as well, the whole trunk, because sometimes it can be very confusing. If you just see the close up, you need to see the trunk as well. So do take clear pictures, please, so that those features which you're trying to photograph, just check that it's in focus. Clean your lens. Mostly people take this with their mobiles, right? During this city nature challenge, please make sure your lens is clean, otherwise you get blurred pictures and we could miss some features. Okay, so we can identify using bark of trees. Next one, please. We'll do a quick overview of the leaves, different kinds of leaves, just so what you ought to look for and what sort of photograph you have to take. Because sometimes people think, compound leaves have, or people don't know that there are things called compound leaves, and they'll just take one little leaflet, and then it's we can get confused. They think it's a simple leaf, like the first leaf that you can see here on the slide. This is a simple leaf. It is emerging directly from the stem of the plant. The way to tell that this leaf these leaves are simple leaves is at the base of the leaf stalk. As you can see, the leaf has a stalk. Sometimes they may not be a visible stalk, but where the leaf is attached to the twig or the branch, you will see a little bud, tiny little projection, which is called a leaf bud, and that will tell you that this is a simple leaf. But for the most part, please note that it is by itself on a twig, and other leaves are arranged on the twig as well. When I get to the next slide, you'll see the difference. So this is they can have they have venation, they have patterns of venation. So please look closely at that. If you want, you can turn the leaf over and also take a picture of that. Leaves have teeth, or they have ragged edges. Sometimes they have scalloped edges. Please get those characteristics, as you can see in this in the picture in the middle, the leaf of falsa. And then you have lobed leaves. A simple leaf can have lobes, which is just a few. It's like not a complete division, but a partial division of the leaf blade, leaf surface, and that also helps. It's a very important characteristic, so do make note of that. Next slide, please. You'll see the difference as we go along. Next slide, please, Farina. Yeah, so here we have, you may think the first one is a digitate leaf. It is divided all the way up to the base, and you can see there are little stalks there, what look like stalks, right? So it's a finger shaped leaf, so it's called a digitate leaf. And this is from the red silk cotton, Bombax. It's a compound leaf, but digitate. Okay, so there are different, so do take a clear picture of the leaf. If it's like this, then take the entire leaf as I have shown you. Then we have these compound leaves, which sometimes people mistake for the little leaflets, the little leaves. Please look at the central picture. The little leaves are called leaflets. They are not, each one is not a leaf. The entire stalk with all the little leaflets is one leaf. Okay, so that's a single uh, feathered or pinnate leaf. Then you get a double pinnate leaf, as you see in the last picture, which is, you have one stalk, then again it is branched, and then those, slimmer twigs have the little leaflets. So that is twice branched. twice feathered, or twice pinnate. Okay, so these characteristics, if you can see, you most probably have noticed before, but take a good look. Just take a little time to figure out whether it is a compound leaf, all these three are compound leaves, or whether they are simple leaves as shown to you in the previous slide. Okay, and take the picture accordingly. Right, if you are confused, then take a long shot where you can see the leaves clearly on the branches. Take that also, take a close up, take a few longer shots, just keep zooming out and take shots so that the identifier will get a good idea of what it is, and it may help in identification. If you have any questions, you can ask them later. Next slide, please. Okay, so what is necessary for good ID of a tree, for instance, right? So here we have a habit photo. The first one, it's called a habit. When you see the entire, how this tree grows, that is the shape of the tree. So typically these habits are, in wild places where the trees have grown on their own, because that's where, nowadays, that's how it is, because, trees all have a particular shape that they grow into. Yeah, they're genetically wired for that, and those are characteristic shapes. If you just block that shape out and make a black cutout of that, you will find, when you do this for several different species, you will find that they're very characteristic of the species. Unfortunately, in urban areas, either the trees are very closely planted, or they've been branches have been lopped, or they've lost their branches for some reason or the other. Lopped as in, branches have been randomly cut or planted close by, and then you don't see the tree in its typical normal habit. Then it may pose a problem in identification. Okay, so if you can get the habit picture, please do take. This is a Legastreamia, what we called a small flowered crepe myrtle, which is a jungle tree. Okay, then you can take a picture of the canopy, which we can zoom in and perhaps see the leaves. If there are flowers, do take a picture of the flowers. If there are, if you're able to get a close up of the leaves, please try to do that. Zoom in. It's possible a little bit with your cameras. And if you have, if you can get the leaf and inflorescence as in the top right, please take a picture of that as well. And then of course there are seed pods at the bottom, right? If you have them, please do take a picture. I have found that it is rather difficult to identify trees only by their bark or trunk. But having said that, many trees in this dry area in the deciduous forest have lost their leaves, or they finish flowering, and or in wet deciduous areas, or in wet forests like in the Western Ghats, or in should I say in the Northeast, where you have very tall trees, you are most likely not going to get a clear picture of the habit or of the leaves on the tree. Look underneath, and maybe you'll find a few fresh leaves have dropped down, or maybe a few dried leaves. Try to look and find a couple of leaves. If you can, that's great, but just step back and take a picture of the bark and any other unusual of the trunk, I'm sorry, a close-up of the bark, and then any unusual characteristics of branching, or bark characteristics, or thorns, that kind of thing, which may help. Sometimes you'll find dry, seed pods on the ground, or you may even find seeds on the ground. Do take pictures of that. If you think that they belong to that particular tree, that will be good. Okay, so this is how we document a tree fully. And for your own information, this is a great way to document a tree. If you want to, keep this information somewhere, or you want to, prepare some little booklet or something, this is how you do it. Okay, and if you notice the close-up of the flowers, I've got my finger in the background. So you can either use a scale, or just a pen, or even your hand to give a sense of size. We need a reference sometimes, because when you take a close-up of a flower, normally you don't realize the person, the identifier cannot see a size reference. So it's always good to show one. Much easier to identify once we have that. Next slide, please. Okay, so here is a tree which could, was a little problematic, and I'll tell you why. So I could get a, clear picture. So this is again a wonderful picture of the habit. It was growing wild. This is the Dhobin, Dalbergia lanceolaria, subspecies paniculata, I'm sorry. So we have two subspecies here. So it's very important for us to make out the difference. And here, this particular subspecies paniculata has a pale bark. So, which is why I took a close-up of the bark and trunk. Then the leaves are slightly different. So do get a clear picture of the leaves, either arrangement or just the leaflets on that, the entire leaf. Basically, this is a compound leaf, pinnate compound leaf. So I've got, a picture of the entire leaf there. And then over here, the flowers were out of reach for me, which is why you can see the slightly blurred image. But, nevertheless, this does help in identification, because if I zoom in, I can actually see a few characteristics, which will help me differentiate this tree from its subspecies, which is subspecies lanceolaria. There is a difference, especially in the inflorescence, in the flowers, and even a long shot like this will help. I've zoomed in and sort of showing you this. It was quite far away from me. So when I first took the picture, it was far, then I cropped it, and this is what you're seeing. And for an identifier, I can see the characteristics, which will help me identify further. So if you understood, this is what you can do for inflorescences which are out of reach for you. Okay, just try your best to get a good picture. Okay. Sometimes you have fallen flowers on the ground, and if you can just pick that up, put it on your hand, and then take a few pictures, that will also be great. Okay, next slide, please. Additional leaf characteristics. For example, leaves can be differently colored on the rear, as you can see in the first picture. This is dark green on top. It's kind of slightly fuzzy, velvety at the back, which is why it's kind of grayish green. These are good features to take note of for yourself, which will help you in identifying the tree, for you to remember characteristics of a tree. So it's good for identification for third person, as well as for you. And in the middle, we have the dhaman, which is Gruvia tilifolia. Now, if you see at the base of the leaf stalk, you have stipules. These are leaf stipules, and if you can get a close-up of stipules, it is a great feature which helps in identification. These particular stipules are angel-winged stipules. If you see, they look like wings, angel wings. They're rather large, but they drop off after some time. So try to get, to the tip of the branch where you have new leaves and the stipules are clearly visible. Okay, so that helps. The color of the leaf you can see is pink, and that helps as well because it's a new leaf. Okay, so do get that, maybe the tip of the branch along with the leaves and stipules if you can. Then look closely under leaves. Sometimes you can see here in the last third picture, there are ants here close to a little dark green nodule like thing. These are extra floral nectaries. So many a leaf may have this, or they may have little glands at the back of the leaf stalk. These are characteristics which help in distinguishing very close species of trees. For example, these leaves belong to a species which is Terminalia tomentosa, or Terminalia uh, uh, Terminalia tomentosa asan, we call it. And sometimes it's difficult. You can get this confused with Terminalia crenulata or Terminalia, other Terminalias. Therefore, sometimes just look for these. If you have the time, look for a few characteristics around the leaf stalks and take pictures of those as well. Okay, next slide, please. Maybe we can skip this. This was for the I'm sorry, this was for the tree survey. Yeah. Okay, so then we have associations with trees. I will deal with the shrubs and climbers and herbs at the end of this. Let me just complete this and I'll, tell you about those as well. So you have fungal associations. So you'll see fruiting bodies of fungi on bark at the base of the tree. They're good to be documented as well. Please do. And sometimes you'll find lichen on tree bark. You can document that as well. It also tells us that the air quality in that particular area most probably is favorable, because lichen, they're used as monitors for air quality. The presence or absence of lichens will tell you how good or bad the pollution levels are. So that's a good record to have as well. Next slide, please. Then we have plant-plant associations. For example, you have parasitic plants of various kinds. On the left, you have the cuscuta, thread-like, a thread-like plant which doesn't have leaves, because it is a total parasite. It takes, its food directly from the plant. It doesn't manufacture its own food. It doesn't photosynthesize, hence no leaves. So as soon as you see it, you may know this is cuscuta. Many of you would have seen this covering trees and shrubs. Apparently, there are two varieties. So if there are low-lying shrubs, if there's a lot of this thread-like cuscuta on the ground level, please take a clear picture of that. If you can find little buds over there, as you can see on my on the palm of my hand, there are little stalks with buds. That will help, as well as fruit if you find any. And if they're on the tree, you may find it a little difficult, but try your best to just get a good sharp picture as best as you can. Okay, if there are any tendrils hanging down, just tug it a little bit and then take a close-up of that as well. So there are two varieties, one which grows very low on the ground and one which grows on taller shrubs and trees. Then we have the semi-parasite, which is mistletoe. There are different species of mistletoe across the country. In our Hyderabad region, we find two varieties, one of which is very common, and this is the common one, Dendroptho falcata. Okay, so you will notice these maybe the inflorescences, but you'll also notice these gall-like structures on trees, even on shrubs. The same thing is found even on shrubs sometimes. And then you'll know that there's a presence of mistletoe. Sometimes it may be dried up, maybe it's dying, but sometimes it will have leaves. Even though the entire tree has dropped its leaves for the dry season, you will find the dendroptho there with the leathery green leaves. Do take a picture. If it's flowering, of course, if it's close at hand, it's easier. But, try to get a good picture as far as possible. If not anything, at least these gall-like structures, on the tree. And then make sure you know the species of the host plant, the tree also. That helps, because it's always good to know the association. This is on a neem tree. So if you can mention it in the comments. Even if you don't have a clear picture of the tree and you don't know what the tree is, then in that case take a leaf or something, or the tree bark, and hopefully the person can identifier. But if you do know the tree, please just put it in the comments. Okay, thanks. Next slide, please. Other associations are like ants. So you'll see, different species of ants, most probably on the, not most probably, but you will find, because there are sometimes specific interactions, like for example, these chromatogasters, they, they are nectaring ants, so they actually, you'll find them on the flowers, but they also have association with mealybugs. Mealybugs are nothing but sucking pests, or maybe some other sucking pests, who put out what is called honeydew. They suck the sap of the plant and they actually exude honeydew, which attracts these ants. And you will quickly ask why. Because the ants protect those little mealybugs. Yeah, sorry, we lost that slide. Back. The ants actually protect the mealybugs because they are being, provided with the honeydew, which is food for them. So they protect these sucking pests. So you'll see then three associations, right? So you have the sucking pest on the plant itself, and then you have ants tending to them. So, and there can be different species of ants that do that. This little folded leaf structure over here is actually the nest of the beaver ant. So you can take pictures of that. You can, then identify the tree as well. Or if you can't, then do give some pictures for its identification. Weaver ants are in, plenty in urban areas, and their nests are very characteristic, large. They can be small or large. Just look out for them. If you can get a picture of the ant, great. Then when you see, earth encrustations on tree bark, tree trunk, you'll know that it's most probably termites. It is termite. This is what they do, because termites don't have melanins. They have, if you've seen them, they have these white light bodies. So they cannot stand the sun. So they build a little protective covering under which they, they live and nibble at the bark or dry wood. Therefore, these are characteristics of, termites being present. Okay, so do take a picture of that. If you get a, picture of the termite, well and good. Next slide, please. Again, bees, you'll find plenty of different species. The carpenter bee, of course, is, a solitary bee. It's not a social bee, but you'll also find social bees. So take clearer pictures. What I have shown you, I think that's my mistake. I mean, it's not very clear perhaps that oncoba flower with several bees on it. They're actually all dwarf honeybees, Apis florea over here. They are visited by other bees as well. But if you can get a little closer and a clearer picture, then it will help. This was just to, an indication for you, indicative picture. You can take a long shot like this, and then if you can, just get a close shot. If you're worried about them stinging you, then of course, can't help it. But mostly, they're very busy going about their business. So I think you can just get in a quick shot. If you see leaves with these cuts on them, they are, they tell you that there's a leaf cutter bee. These are very specific shapes. If you see them at the edge of the of the leaves, you'll know that leaf cutter bees are around. They've been at work. They're normally busy early-ish during the day. So keep a lookout for them if they're, in your garden. It'll be good to document. Then, of course, you have hives, and get a picture of the hives. They can be really high up. This one was on a banyan tree, so it's really high up, but one can still make out, the species because of the way the hive is built. So try to get clear pictures as far as you can. Next slide, please. Moths. Lots of species of moths. You'll find have associations. Of course, they have to have associations with plants and trees because of their their larval stage. They spend eating these leaves. So do keep a lookout for them. They may not be so visible in the dry season because, after all, little more moisture in the air is favorable for them. If it's too dry and hot, then, there's possibility for these little creatures to die out. Therefore, but nevertheless, if you have had a few showers or in your moist area, then please do look out for caterpillars, cocoons, or even telltale signs of moth caterpillars. Like in the teak leaf, you'll see these patches, and you'll know that a teak leaf skeletonizer has been at work there. So you'll know that there's a presence of the caterpillar or the moth. So look out for them. If not visible, you can document just that. Okay. Again, if you see little strange structures like this caseworm moth right at the far right, you know that there's a sometimes you may see movement, and then at the top where it is attached to the plant, and you'll know that there's a live caterpillar inside. Otherwise, we just see that case. It's a protective covering inside which the caterpillar lives. Over here, it's very interesting to note that it's made of the thorns of this particular, Acacia nilotica. It was a small shrub. So it's made the case exclusively from the thorns, which is amazing. I don't know how it even does that. But it's it's easy to find these. Many children, in fact, tend to find these easily. If you see any caseworm structure like this, please do document them. We may or may not be able to find the species, but it helps. Next slide, please. Butterflies, again, please look out for the butterfly eclosing, which is the first picture on the top left. That's it's easy to document because when they eclose, which is emerge from the cocoon, that's early hours in the morning. They need to spend a little time pumping fluid into their wings because they emerge all crumpled. So that's a good time to watch out for butterflies and to be able to document them or take pictures easily. Sometimes butterflies are very busy drinking sap from damaged tree bark or pods. They do this quite often. There are many species who do this. In which case, your approach has to be very sort of slow and careful. Just be sure when you're dealing with insects not to, or any other creature, I think, not to throw a shadow, because they sense light and dark very easily. I mean, so they will immediately move, fly away, whatever. So just be careful of that, mindful of that your shadow doesn't fall on the creature. Of course, even photographing, taking a good photograph in shadow is sometimes not easy. I mean, it may not be clear, so that also will help. Yeah, so butterflies and their cocoons, and of course caterpillars, if you see them, yes, definitely. Please do take clear shots. Butterflies, we need to see the antennae, so we'll know for sure. Wing patterns are very helpful, so please make sure that you take good pictures. Next slide, please. Insects, many kinds, always very fascinating, very interesting, but please take a quick shot first, because they do tend to, some of them, they'll fly away or jump away. So try to very slowly get close, but take a quick shot for record, for documentation before you move really close. Okay. There are tricks. As you do this, you will know how close you can get. For example, a mantis is quite curious actually, and they will stand, they'll take their position and hang in there, and many of them, and you could get a goodish shot. But flies, they tend to fly away, so do butterflies, and sometimes certain beetles, they jump. Ants are very quick, so you need patience. You need to make sure that there's no shadow on them, sudden shade falling on them. um, take a quick shot first, which gives you a, even if it's slightly blurry, gives you a view, goodish idea of what the thing looks like, and then try to get a close-up. Okay, so that's for insects. Next slide, please. Galls. We also want to record galls. Very important because they are formed. So galls are nothing but excessive growth or differentiated growth of plant tissue due to the takeover by a gall midge or a gnat. Okay, these are insects. The midges and gnats are insects. Many a time their larvae have to live with inside galls on plants. They feed there, and you can see that in the picture on your right, which Farida is pointing at. There's a little tiny larva inside that capsule. I've actually opened it and exposed it, and that's a very interesting gall, leaf gall, that we find on Acacia catechu. It's very typical of Acacia catechu, by the way. Some of these associations are singular, let's say, characteristic. A particular gall midge will only make these on a particular plant, will make galls on a particular plant. Okay, so sometimes it's easy to identify, but do take a clear picture of the gall as far as you can. I mean, you don't have to go to the extent of looking for the midge, because that's a little tough and time consuming, but do take pictures of galls and make a note of the plant on which it is. If you don't know the identity of the plant, then please take a couple more pictures, which will help identify the plant. Next slide, please. Okay, these are, again, dragonflies are tricky, but great for identification. I mean, they do hang out on plants, especially when they're in torpor, and in late evening, at dusk, and then early mornings. You may find them on plants like this. Of course, during the day when they're zipping around, it's a little difficult. Some people are good at taking quick pictures. So if you have one of those, bazooka lens cameras, and you can take several shots, you could try. But just with your mobile, it's possible to get pictures which are, identifiable. So here they are. This the central picture is blurred because it was high up on a tree branch, but I could get the basic characteristics of the dragonfly, and it's still identifiable from this. So I just wanted you to see that. It's a slightly blurred picture, the central one, which you can still see green eyes, a brownish thorax. You can see a little blue spot at the top of the abdomen. And these are characteristics of this particular dragonfly, which is the elephant dana. It's one of the largest dragonflies that we have in our region. And then again, the stance of the dragonfly is very characteristic, like the club tail, as you can see here. It always sits there with its tail up in the air. Of course, the tail is characteristic of this species. And below that, you can actually see two dragonflies lower on down the branch. Yeah. So get the picture. You can make two, entries in iNaturalist. One, you can crop the top, and then, crop the bottom bit out, and then you can make two entries because they're two different species. You can see them, clearly. Okay. So you can do that. Next slide, please. Spiders. If you can see the first slide, first picture, the spider is barely visible, but tree bark is very interesting. If you have large old trees, or undisturbed areas, you will find quite a few very interesting things going on tree bark. So do make a little, circumnavigation of the tree, and look up and down at, whatever height is comfortable. You may come across something interesting. So this is a two-tailed spider on a tree. Sometimes a giveaway is the egg sac of this spider. You'll see a little cream colored egg sac. Then you can, fuzzy, looking like a little web, tiny web, but it's creamish. and if you see that, you most probably, know that, the spider is somewhere on the tree, but they're very well camouflaged. So do spend a little time looking for them, but they're very skittish. So again, you'll have to be a little patient and clever to get the picture. And of course, there are other spiders, some of them you'll see only at dusk. They build for example, the bark or twig spider, this poultice species, that makes the web only in the evening after sunset. So this is a picture I took in the night. I happened to be roaming my garden with my headlamp on, and I came across this. Okay, so in the morning, if you look for this, it's vanished. It's a large web. It spans about 2 feet over here, and it vanishes in the morning. So they actually eat the web up. It's nothing but protein, and the spider doesn't want to lose that, so they consume it, and she'll build the web again in the night. So she's a hunter in the night. But there are others who sit and wait in the daytime. So please look out in near flowers. You will have these flower crab spiders. They love to wait to catch their prey. By ambush. They're ambush predators. So they wait and catch their prey when they come visiting to the flower. Okay, and then some of them love little nooks and little cup-shaped areas where they kind of sit comfortably, again waiting for prey or resting. So do keep an eye out for them. Sometimes you'll find them inside seed pods, or like this in a little leaf which is curled slightly. Then they're kind of comfortable. Sometimes they build a little screen on top, a web screen, and they sit inside, so you can find them while you're looking for your plants and trees or whatever, trying to identify those. Next slide, please. Again, reptiles, of course, more, easier to see, but at the same time extremely well camouflaged, mostly. So you have to look a little keenly. They either zip quickly away from you, or they're very well camouflaged and you can't see them. So please look out for them. Chameleons, again, move slowly, but they blend in very well. So watch for movement sometimes. So it's a nice game of mindfulness. When you're documenting, one has to practice a little stillness in between, so then you can see things more clearly. If you're in a group, somebody in the group may spot it, but when you're alone, I find it's so much easier to spot these kind of things, little creatures. Next slide, please. Birds, of course, much easier to spot, more difficult to photograph, perhaps, but you can try. If they're low on the ground, or they're going to be there for a little bit, try to take, nowadays the cameras have a goodish zoom lens which can make identification still easy. For example, that hornbill, it was way up on a tree, but I could still take a long shot. It's blurred, but it clearly is an Indian grey hornbill, so it's possible to so you can try. Otherwise, a nest, we say no. Buy a weaver nest, of course, because they're hanging up there somewhere and you can't get too close to them most of the time. It's okay, but mostly we would discourage you. Definitely, if the bird is nesting, definitely it's a no. Please do not take pictures of the nest. Don't go close to the nest. Please do not, because it's most likely that they may abandon it, right? And then abandon the chicks as well. So without disturbing, always it's a good idea to try to get photographs, and it's possible. It's very, very possible, as you can see from my pictures. Next slide. I think we're done almost. We have one more. Yeah, the mammals, if possible, please do take pictures of bats. Try to get a clear picture, as clear a picture as possible, because sometimes the lighting can be really bad, and then it's difficult to make out the species. In that case, it's okay. Just leave it. But some characteristics, some clarity is required definitely for identification. So please don't upload if you yourself are unable to see any clarity in the picture, then don't upload it. It's okay. Wait for better photographs. This monkeys, of course, the fruiting season, great time to look out for them. And squirrels, when flowers are abundant, sometimes squirrels are pretty active. Sometimes you'll find their dray, which is their nests on the trees as well, so their presence is there, so you can document that as well. Okay, I think we're done. Yeah, so this is a little note about trees and their associations. While you're looking at this, I can quickly tell you that at this point, for this presentation, I hadn't included herbs and shrubs and vines, but the same kind of documentation practice for trees goes for the herbs, vines, and shrubs. Okay, now in herbs, you will say, okay, there is no bark. That's fine. Just take a habit picture of the plant. Like for example, if you remember in the earlier presentation, there were whole plants which you could see, right? So herbs, because they're small plants, you can take a picture of the full plant. And then herbs are these little plants, right? The ephemerals or seasonal plants. If you can, if there are flowers, of course, nothing like it. Get a clear picture. It's easier to identify. But sometimes you must remember that there are close species. They look similar. Okay. Or if the flowers are really small and you're not able to focus or get a clear picture, please put your hand behind it or carry a tiny small piece of paper. You can put your hand, the paper behind the flower and or the leaf, and take a picture. And in case you find different plants looking kind of similar and you're a little confused and you think they may be different, do try to take a close up of a leaf. Sometimes the leaf itself will be different. They may look similar, but some leaf may have teeth, some leaf may be just smooth, some leaf may be slightly hairy, and perhaps a close up will reveal that, but you're still confused. Take those kind of characteristics of herbaceous plants, especially in case they don't have flowers or fruit. But if they do have flowers, take a picture of the flowers, take a picture of the leaves. Don't just put the flower there because it's a little difficult. You need the plant, the leaf as well, to do a proper identification of herbaceous plants. Similarly with shrubs, similarly with vines. Take picture of leaves, flowers, fruit, the stem. In a dry condition, maybe sometimes there are no leaves, no flowers, nothing. There's just the stem. Take 2 3 pictures of the stem. Take a close up. The stem may have some knobbly projections on it. Then take that. Okay, put your hand next to it for comparison, or for reference, or put a scale next to it if you have one, or just put a pen, whatever you have. If nothing, put your finger or your hand, and then take a picture. Take a couple of other angles.
I think Kobita has lost power, I think. Kobita? Try logging in and logging out. Sorry for that technical glitch. I think she's lost power there. So if you have any questions, you can. There were a couple of them, I think, only, which she could have answered. But we'll try to. She's back again. I'm just trying to admit her in. Let me just see.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
We
Back.
can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. My power came back on. But this is fine. I mean, if you're okay with this, I'm good.
Yeah, it is good. I think there were a couple of questions, Kobita, in the
Okay.
chat.
So I'm
yeah.
good to go.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I think Casey mentions that you should cover as many features as possible of the plant. But Vandana had a question on,
Okay.
have you seen galls on Prosopis cineraria? Is that plant-plant association? She has seen galls
I
on
have,
Prosopis, yeah.
okay. I haven't seen on Prosopis. That's because we hardly see many Prosopis in our region, although it is our state tree, at least where I live in Hyderabad. In and around Hyderabad, there are a few Prosopis, but they're not plentiful. So the ones I have seen, I have not seen galls, but it's very possible that they are. So yes, please do document. Someone will help you out on that.
There's a
Yes,
question
as Casey mentioned, it's good to have features, as many features, but not unnecessary stuff. You know, so you get the leaf, you get the stem. If you think there is something which is unusual, yes, please, whether they're thorns or scales or, you know, stipules, all these little protrusions, they really do help, especially in the herbaceous plants. Get the entire inflorescence and do get the leaf close up on the stalk with whatever features on the stalk as well. Because many species in Indigoferas and you know, Alcicarpus, they're really difficult to ID unless you have the some clarity on the features. So leaves, shapes, all of this matters. I mean, just putting the flowers there are of no use because the flowers are quite similar. Okay, and if the pods are there, definitely the pods. Some are hairy, some are you know, slim, some are fat, and all sorts of things happen. So please do get as many features as you can. Yeah, thanks
There's
for that.
one question from Casey's. What do ID galls as the insect which makes it? So he wants to know that. How do you ID? What do you ID galls as? Like, where do you put it in the iNet?
Gall, plant galls.
As plant gall?
Yeah, I have uploaded galls. So, I mean, it would come under plant at first, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, one could also do it as insect, but if you have the insect, then yes, right? You can say insect. But I would, if it's a gall from a plant, I would definitely put it under plant.
I think I've also uploaded as plant gall only most of the times.
Yeah, it has to be plant gall because that's a primary thing. Yeah, Casey.
Yeah, ma'am, like if we could make two observations, right? If it is on a certain plant.
You could.
We could
Yeah,
make
okay.
one for
You could do that
the.
as well. Of course.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Thanks for that. Yeah. You could do that as well. You could make two observations. One for the
plant and one for the other thing, which
Yeah.
would be insect, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Would be insect. Yeah. Yeah.
I had a
Thanks
question.
for that. Yes.
Hello. Hi,
Yeah, hi.
Kobita. I had
Yeah.
a question. So
Sure.
in one of the slides where you had said the fruiting body mushroom is a sign of a fungal infection.
Yes.
But also isn't mycelium networks among trees
Absolutely.
a sign of healthy? Yeah.
See, mycelium networks, the only thing with that is so mycelium great by itself, but without the fruiting body, it's a little difficult, right? The other thing, I'm sorry, I didn't mention was, you know, things like slime, mold. Okay, so mold, slime molds, you know, they look a little different. Sometimes, they don't look like mycelial networks, but they can sort of like some coating, spreading on the ground over the leaves. It may be colored, sometimes yellow, things like that. Or they may also have, even slime have small fruiting bodies, molds, but you really have to look closely for them. But mycelium by itself may be hard to, I'm not really sure whether, that's something that one can identify. I'm really
Actually,
not sure.
my question more of was, is fungus, is mushroom always an indication of a fungal infection? I just want to know, can't it just be a sign of, that was my question rather.
Okay. Not necessarily. So if it's on the tree, yes, it is on the tree or a plant, then yes, it is a sign of the mycelium being in the plant, right? Now, if it's only on the dry bark, which is still on the tree, then it's fine. It's okay. I mean, it's this fungus is just breaking down the dry or the dead branch or dry leaf or whatever. But if, for example, I had shown one picture where you had this Ganoderma at the base of of a gulmohar trunk. Now that shows that the mycelial network is around the roots. Okay, it could pose a problem, or it may not. It may get over it, but there is a danger of it becoming a problem. So you keep an eye on it if you're concerned. I mean, just as documentation, that's fine, right? But if you're concerned, then yes, keep, because when the Ganoderma moves up a little bit onto the trunk, then there are signs. I mean, that's a sign of, it's getting to the tree, and you'll see the signs on the tree also. If the tree is not doing well, when it should have leaves, if there are hardly any leaves, or when there are flowers, if there are very sparse, flowers, so flowering is sparse, these are signs that, something is not okay.
Okay. And on the termites, so two more questions, short questions. The termite, the soil on the wood indicating termites being there. So there will be an underground nest there, right? Or
so they will be, yes, they will be around. They're definitely around. Yeah, so they're underground, and then they are also living along that, under that soil crust. They're also living there, but yes, they are around.
Most likely,
It's just how we manage them. If they have enough food, dry matter outside, they will remain outside if they're near your home. And then, if there's not enough matter outside, then they will get inside, right? Basically, they want dry wood. But they're amazing recyclers. They're the only creatures that recycle cellulose like they do.
Right.
Yeah.
And the leaf cutter bees,
Yes.
could it not be leaf cutter ant?
Okay, the possibilities. Okay, this is a question I think one has to pose to the, the ant group, because we do get leaf cutter ants in forests, more moist areas. I have not come across any record of leaf cutter ants in drier or central, peninsular India, but I could be wrong. But they're not there in our area for sure. Okay, so which is why. And then also the bees have, they bite it off in a particular way, right? I think which is distinct from the ants. But again, one has to do some research on that. But what we have been observing clearly are the bees.
Okay, got
So
it.
yes, it's a good question.
I ask one last?
Thank you. Sure.
Okay. So this whole caterpillar to tree, it's sort of a one-to-one mapping. I asked because I saw the tussar silk caterpillar you had put on. Now I forget which tree, but I remember
No problem.
reading
It's on the
about
bear.
Bay. Okay. I remember reading about Terminalia catappa being the host plant for tussar silk.
Yes.
So it can be one-to-many mapping, right?
Yes, absolutely. Certain certain butterflies and moths have specific hosts, and many of them are polyphagous, which means they can polyphagous. Yeah, which means they have different plants on which they can survive. So yeah, and it's always good to, if you can identify the plant as well, it's great. So in the insect thing, you can give the caterpillar picture and put the plant name, and then the plant along with the caterpillar, you can put on the plant also, you know, saying that it's being eaten, or, you know, like the teak thing, you know, if you find something eaten or skeleton, it's very good, you know, to know, because there are specific ways in which beetles, you know, certain beetles chew on the leaf, how grasshoppers eat it, how skeletonizers eat it. So, you know, those are indications as well. So you can put it on an insect. You can put it on the, you know, under plant as well. But we need an ID for the plant thing.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Kobita. That was really useful.
Thanks for asking those questions, because, you know, they always help explain.
I think we are quite over the clock on almost 9 o'clock now. And there was one more question from Manorama Singh on explain the importance of moth in a plant life. She has some pictures of moths from her garden. So where can I search about them? So she wants to know where she can know more about the moths. So.
Okay, so there are sites where you can go to, and there are books as well to refer to. So one of them is Moths of India. That's a good site to go to, or you can join a group called Moth India, or in what? Moths of India.
Yes. Yeah.
Moth India. Yeah. So there are WhatsApp groups specifically for insects, moths, you know, Lepidoptera, let me say, not just moth, or yeah, I think there's a separate butterfly group. Then there are, you know, for spiders, there's for, you know, mammals, birds, everything. So you can take your pick and, you know, look around. Maybe WWF can help you with the link on, you know, WhatsApp, or if you message me, perhaps, you know, we can help you get on those WhatsApp groups. Or, you know, online, there are several resources, but one of the best is Moths of India. And then there are books you can refer to as well. There's one, you know, Dr. Subbalakshmi's book is perhaps the best. And then we also have from Sanjay Sondhi, new book on moths. So, you know, if you look for moth identification, I mean, or books on moths, you'll find Moths of India. So there are some field guides. So you'll get those, right? So, yeah.
So there are no more questions. So thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Kobita, for once again, wonderful, 2 lovely sessions. And I hope that our participants here have enjoyed it and learned quite a lot. So please remember to register for the City Nature Challenge wherever you are. And we did want to do a small session on INAT, but I think we don't have that much time today. But there's a call again tomorrow on all about insects. So same time, 7 to 8. So please be there. And I hope the registration link is there in all the groups. So we'll hope to see you tomorrow once again. So thank you very much and have a great evening.
Thank you so much. Bye.